Hey, I want to share a few thoughts. Deck building. Building a deck and collecting cards I wish I had known myself while starting to play. Magic in Commander. Welcome to the Legends and Decklists channel. Beginner mistakes. Everyone starting Magic the Gathering in Commander format makes these mistakes. Mistakes are absolutely normal as long as you notice them and correct them. Now I see the same mistakes that I made myself and new players that I'm making this video for everyone preparing to join the format or play different Magic formats. This is my first command. Maybe under the influence of your friends or your coworkers, or because of ads you bought a new precon, and now you're about to jump into the community. There are many new players in my community. This video helps them avoid mistakes on the path of deck building that I went through myself. If you have beginners among your friends, share this video with them. So, let's get started. The first misconception is ignoring deck building. Deck building is a big part of the game. 50% plus the first misconception of the player as a beginner ran into his thinking. That playing Commander is about gaming. Friends, it wouldn't take up much. I was wrong. If you plan to dive into the Commander format, you need to understand that the games themselves are only half the process and the other half. This is deck building. Building your deck, searching for connections and synergy is key. Interesting. You test online and in person. This is time you spend alone with your thoughts about what you see, how you envision. The perfect game, picturing perfect plays, you read a lot. You read new cards, learn from other people's experiences in games. For me, this time flies unnoticed, but for players who don't have much time, I want to say thank you. Once you accept that, the more cards and mechanics you know, the stronger and more consistent your decks will turn out. Once you accept this fact and start actively engage in deck building, your chances of winning will increase. Point 2. The second mistake is the lack of conditions, victories in deck. Decks should have an achievable win condition. Often I've run into situations where we play a game with friends, share impressions, and I ask about the new deck that a player just brought, which didn't show anything. And I tried to figure out what's going on. What? She must win. Don't get an answer. Player didn't. Think about winning when building the deck. The deck's built like a house for cards that somehow synergize with the commander or are just strong. It's color. But it doesn't have a win condition. Commander games alone. If a player is ahead without a win condition, they're dragging out an already long game more. At some point it's torture both for the player and opponents. We end up in a situation where the player should be winning right now, but can't. Or they win by accident. If the other players aren't as lucky during the game, and the player gathers some critical mass of good stuff, of combat power, then they might win. But if you're okay with constant losses and random victories, you can, of course, leave in decks. Otherwise, I suggest you think of 2 or 3 win conditions for your specific deck. Think about it. Consider what could be win condition. You just need to come up with it, because you are the creator of your deck. Third mistake, another one that people make almost even more often. Too many win conditions, or too many combos, too many expensive cards that cost a lot of mana, and most likely won't be played, and it looks like they will bring victory. One of my friends plays Arsa, the one with hexproof who casts for free. Top to extra turn, destroys all permanents, only one survives, and that's how he wins. He has about 12 to 15 win conditions in his deck. If he can play one of those cards, he likely wins. But in the games we've played together, he couldn't do anything. He didn't cast his commander a single time. Why'd that happen? Instead of drawing cards that would help him get closer to the win conditions, he kept drawing from the top of the deck, those very win conditions in a row. As a result, we always finished the games before Narset even came out and went on the attack. So that deck was overloaded with win conditions. Asked why he wouldn't reduce win condition. You need 2 to 3 cards to win. Answered he wanted to win more and needed every card in his deck. But the cards don't work and he doesn't want to. Listen, don't be like my friend. He didn't get the idea, but I hope that you've heard me, dear viewers. You might want to bookmark this video for personal thumbs up for the YouTube algorithm, and we'll move on. Buying Wizards of the Coast products. This is mistake 4. This deserves a separate video, but let's point out this very important mistake. It's a mistake I've made and new players around me make it all the time. You open their trade binder and they've bought some booster box. Inside that box are all these cards they don't need, which they're trying to sell or trade, but they can't manage to because those cards are worthless. It's pointless for most people. This mistake keeps happening repeatedly. It's buying random booster boxes, draft, set, play boosters, buying pre-release kits, bundles just because it's magic. Because you feel buying something. Now I realize Wizards of the Coast release a huge amount of products to confuse new players. Left TCG space, return to real world. But opening new cards is so much fun. Once a player figures things out, they'll go through a couple waves of euphoria. Then they'll end up in a sea of disappointment. And it's simple. Buy singles, guys. If you like a card from new set or from older ones, look for it as a single, no matter how expensive or beautiful the sought-after card is. Version of that card if you decide you have to pull it from a booster, you'll spend several times more money than the market price for that card. And mistake 5. You have 5 mistakes. 5th mistake. Too many combos. At some point, a player eventually realizes that they wants to play a combo deck. Combo not always win condition, but also synergy among 2 or 3 cards. Help you advance in the game. And another very common mistake, especially among even competitive players, EDH players in the 3rd or 4th group, is putting too many combos into a deck that absolutely don't work with each other. They require separate cards that also don't do good in the deck, don't synergize with anything else except for other pieces of that combo, and are just standalone cards. Usually, this causes player gets 3 pieces from 3 different combos in their hand, and the player stagnates for several turns and likely loses. The solution could be this. Remove the weakest, most useless combos, or maybe keep the silly ones and add tutors, cards that help you find other cards in your deck. You can have 2 pieces from 2 different combos in your hand, and a tutor that can let you move along one line or the other in your gameplay. Tutors reduce variability. I try not to use tutors in my decks, or I use them very, very sparingly. For example, I will never put to your demonic or vampiric tutor, worldly, your mystical or enlightened tutor like men, other cards that I use in CDH. But for your casual decks, you can find something really, really fitting. Tutors in Commander are casual, another big topic to discuss. Subscribe and leave your thoughts on tutors near games. And finally, let's recap what we discussed today. Told what new players should remember. First, deck building in Magic is 50%, even this part of game. The more time you spend learning the cards, the better you become as a player and deck builder. Watch other people's games. Note what they play in what order, and why you can ask them. Second, every deck should have a win condition. Ensures games don't drag on. You yourself know exactly how you'll finish the game. Finishing a game is good, trust me. Winning is nice. Maybe you won't be the winner, but in any case the game should come to an end. About time. Respect others' time. Third, overdoing win conditions. That's really bad. Too many win conditions or big finishing spells. Your deck means part of the game. You won't participate because your deck could be in a spot on turn 3 or 4, holding 3 or 4 spells that cost 7 or 10 mana that you'll never play. A large number of spells requires setup, especially big spells. Think through the ideal scenario. What do you want to play on? Turns 1 through 4 to set yourself up for that big 7 or 10 mana spell. Mana. Fourth, buy singles. Don't buy random Magic products. If you just can't resist and want to open booster packs, look for mystery boosters. At least they're funny. For beginner players, there's much unusual stuff in there. You find useful cards for our format. Fifth, if you happen to include a combo card in your deck, let's say, or your deck is for combos and you constantly sit in the state that in your hand 2 to 3 different cards from different combinations, a sign you should cut down on combos or add a tutor to your deck to find the second piece for each of your other combos. Or add more card draw, the best you can do in the game. Draw cards. With that, goodbye for now. Thank you for your attention. I'd be happy to see you as a subscriber. I'll introduce you to our magic commander later. You'll get to see how magic is played on the other side of the planet. With Serga. Next time. Bye.